Baglia's kick is up. It's good!
What a catch! Eddie Brown! Touchdown, Edmonton! And Mike Pringle, he's the all-time leading CFL rushing leader.
Tucker! He got it! Touchdown!
Gabriel is open in the end zone. Touchdown!
We are set to get it going here in Toronto.
Las Vegas likes to kick from that scatter formation where they line everyone up and they stack the players behind each other so that the offensive return team can't pick out their designated player to block. So generally they get good coverage and they have a lot of speed on their coverage team.
And we are ready to get it started here on the deuce. Robbie Keane with the kick. It will be fielded at about the 18-yard line. Up the left sideline, that is 84 Bobby Gordon, and he is brought down just inside the 35.
Little pushing and shoving here early. We got some heated players. Hey, these guys came out to play a football game tonight. This is not going to be a tennis match.
And there you see the quarterback, Mike Kerrigan. Here's the starting lineups offensively, first of all, for the Argonauts of Toronto. And their head coach, Bill O'Billovich. Chris Schultz, Pierre Verchevel, Blaine Schmidt, Michael Janovich, and Joe Burgess, your offensive line for the Argos. And here's the guys to look for. Mike Kerrigan, the quarterback, the veteran. Pinball Mike Clemens, and the fullback, Dwayne Ford. And so many receivers, Mazzotti, Drage, Gordon, and Fairholm at the slot back position.
Mike, looked like we're going to tee this one up and kick it all over. We possibly had one of the Posse players offsides because they're going to march this one back a few yards, and the Argos should come out with good field position after this second kickoff. Generally, when a team has to run down, they're running down under a full head of steam. They get somewhat winded when they go down, and it allows the kick return team to get better field position.
So we will see if indeed that is the case. Robbie Keane has been impressive so far for Vegas this year, and as our viewers may know at this point, James, the kicking game very important here in the CFL.
Well, it accounts for 1/3 of the offensive plays, and that's how the coaching staff likes to approach it, is that every play is critical because it can be the play that wins the game for you.
So this one we'll see if it is for real, and that is a much shorter kick. As they backed it off, it's taken by the upback, Dwayne Ford, and he returns it over the 40-yard line. So Toronto gets away with that one, but we do have another flag on the play.
I think we're going to end up with offsides once again because it's right at the line where they kick off at.
Number 30, free kick.
And the Argos have been gaining field position. It was an offsides call.
They're going to be kicking from the end zone in a second, buddy.
Well, you know, they can force them to do it once again, and they'll be kicking off from the 25-yard line, Mike. And at that last exchange, they ended up with the ball at the 42-yard line. If they keep gaining, they gained 10 over the previous kickoff. They gain another 10. They'll be right at midfield, opening up their first drive.
I know all of you in America recognize that man, Ron Meyer, the head coach, general manager of the Posse of Las Vegas. You may not know, his first head coaching job in 1973 was with the Running Rebels of UNLV. So it's a homecoming for the head coach, Ron Meyer. And I'll tell you what, that's going to be a very tired Robbie Keane. He takes the punting chores. Carlos Huerta is the true place kicker, but Keane with the big foot on the kickoff, and he'll need to put a motor into this one, as he will now kick for the third time as we're still trying to start this contest from the 25-yard line.
Well, it's going to take a little discipline here. You know that you shouldn't outrun the kicker, and at that time they laid back just a little bit.
And this time he goes to the far side of the field. Handled there, returned past the 50 into Las Vegas territory. Well, what a difference a couple of mental mistakes had made early in this football game. Take a look at the defense, how it sets up. The defensive line, Daryl Corbin, Steven Anderson, Jeff Sawyer. And the linebackers, Shante Peoples, the leader of the linebackers, Greg Battle, Brad Lacombe, Tim Brody. And the DBs, very busy men, Al Jordan, Mike Clark, David Hollis. And they are dynamic. They go to the left flat quickly to pinball Clemens. Clemens eludes a tackle, down and out of bounds at the 31.
That's what the pinball does so well, Mike, is that you get him one-on-one against a defensive player. They swing him out in the left flat. Mike Kerrigan with a quick hitch pass to Pinball. He's one-on-one against people, gives him an inside shoulder, takes it up the sideline, and he's off to the races, only to be run out of bounds at the 25-yard line, but make that the 30-yard line. Pinball Clem is just an exciting player.
A gain of 24 yards on the first play from scrimmage for the Argonauts. Kerrigan hands off, little trickery. Here we go, end zone, touchdown. Well, that did not take long.
That is what the CFL is all about. Exciting, wide open brand of football. Pinball Clemens, Mike Kerrigan, Jeff Fairholm. When you bring in plays like that, a little razzle-dazzle, you'll see Kerrigan, he'll hand the ball off to Pinball. Pinball will go into the line just like a dive play, pitch it back to Kerrigan. Jeff Fairholm keeps running, but he doesn't let the defensive back know that the ball is in flight. He disguises it so well as he's running past James Blake in the end zone for the first major of the game. Argos up 6-0, waiting on the extra point from Lamley.
Jeff Fairholm, the native of Montreal, 5'11", 190 pounds. He has put the Argos on the board quickly, and how costly are the mental mistakes now when it takes 2 plays to get into the end zone for Toronto?
The mental mistakes were very costly for the Argos. We'll make that the Posse, because the original kickoff, they downed them at the 32. They were offside on the second one. They brought it up to the 42. They were offsides again. They had to kick it the third time. The coverage team was a little winded, you could see, because Bobby Gordon brought the ball all the way out to the 54-yard line of the Argos, and 2 plays later, they're on the scoreboard.
Well, you talked about the fact that Las Vegas, playing for the first time north of the border, here at Sky Dome, mentally early, they were not focused.
Well, this is a place that can awe a young player. They have 29 rookies on their roster when they came into this game. And you look at that, first time you walk into a structure like this, it can surprise. You know, we get a shot of Jeff Fairholm right here. His father played for the Montreal Alouettes, and he was a slot back there years ago, and he's able to follow in his father's footsteps, and he's been an all-pro the past couple of years here in the CFL in his own right.
A 30-yard touchdown reception for Jeff Fairholm at Saskatchewan last week. At Regina, 5 receptions for 90 yards. At Shreveport earlier this year, 2 catches for 75. Fairholm off to a good start, and now the Posse to receive for the first time. Returned over the 30, and a good hit by 57 right there of the Argonauts. 57, Carl Coulter. We'll take a look at how the Posse sets up offensively. Mike Campbell, Kevin Carroll, Rodney Harding, and Swift Bunch. That's the Toronto defensive line. Check that. And there you go, Vegas offensively. They'll go against that defensive line, fans. John Nee, Kelvin Harris, Cronenberg in the middle, Claude Jones in the outside tackle. We'll catch the rest in a moment. First play from scrimmage for Las Vegas. Calvillo is sacked. We have a flag on the play, and he is holding his left knee.
And Calvillo is down. It doesn't look very good. Rodney Harding, coming from his right defensive tackle position, was being held by the left guard, and he came in and he hit. You'll see right here Harding up top as he's coming in, working one-on-one against Harris, make that Allen the left guard, and Allen throws him into Cavello's knee and is planted in the turf. And that's one of those injuries that you don't like to see, a quarterback with his knee planted and a defensive lineman falling over his knee, and he's still down.
Anthony Calvillo has been spectacular so far this season. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the only quarterback in the CFL yet to throw an interception.
They had a lot of praise about this young man coming in with his field generalship, his leadership ability, coming in as a pure rookie in the CFL, and had his team off to a 2-1 start, and it doesn't look too favorable for him being down. The medical staff is looking over him, and they're gingerly looking at that right knee, and it doesn't look like he's going to play anymore tonight.
I don't know if things could start much worse right now for the head coach Ron Meyer, as he may be going to the bench very quickly for another quarterback after Calvillo has played so well, as we mentioned, so far this football season.
Well, Lynn Williams is the backup. He's a rookie also out of Northwestern University, Mike Kerrigan's alma mater, the starting quarterback for Toronto, and he would be getting his first CFL experience coming into the game once the Cavello is looked over by the medical staff here. But it's really going to hurt the team, because more than just a starting quarterback, he was the guy that they were hanging their hat on. He was their leader, the guy that they felt that could carry them through the season. He was a very capable passer, and the other quarterbacks are really unproven.
Williams is a very mobile young man, though. Played, as you mentioned, at Northwestern for head coach Gary Barnett in the Big Ten Conference. It's a football team that's improved the last couple of years, greatly because of the athleticism of Lenny Williams, and we will see him right now in the football game. Plays are on his wrist, which means he's ready to fire. He'll throw with the right hand, read the plays off the left.
Well, Cavale came off the field under his own power with a limp. It's good to see. Hopefully it's not a major injury of any sort, but Williams will be tested. This is a situation where you like to blitz a young quarterback when he comes in for his first reps.
And that is what they pick up nicely. 2 plays, 2 sacks, though, as Len Williams can't get anything going.
Chris Crispina from his right halfback position showed the blitz initially, stepped off, and came late. And Len Williams is sitting back in the pocket. Harding coming from the inside. Crispina was knocked off. Campbell came from the outside, was able to knock him off. You'll see Crispina right in the middle of your screen right here as he comes to the outside. Johnson's not able to pick him up, knocks him off of his feet. He comes back up. Williams not able to elude the rush, and he's down for the 2nd sack of the game for the Argos here in the 1st quarter.
2 plays, a loss of 15 yards total. 3rd and 25, ball on the 17. Obviously a punting situation here in the CFL. So 2 and 6 for Toronto, 3 and out for Las Vegas. Punt to be fielded possibly by Clemens. It's a live football, don't forget. And flags all over the place. As the tackle made on the far side by about 3 white jerseys.
Well, the Vegas players have to understand that you have to give the return man a yard.
CFL on the deuce. Toronto leads 8-0. Their quarterback is Mike Kerrigan. Just signed a new 2-year contract. We talked to him earlier, asked him, is there any pressure because this football team is just 1-2?
There's always pressure to win, no matter what team you're on. But, we're 1-2 right now. I think the offense is coming along. And it's just a matter of, putting the ball in the end zone more often. We just can't have field goals and expect to win on field goals. So I think each week we're getting better, and tonight will be a big test.
Mike Kerrigan, now the designated marquee player for the Toronto Argonauts at Saskatchewan. 23 of 38, 429 yards, 2 touchdowns. Problem, though, with Kerrigan, he's already thrown 6 interceptions on the year.
Well, that's a position you don't like to see your quarterback in, with more interceptions and touchdowns versus the 5 touchdowns that he's thrown. He's throwing at a 51.6 clip. But he needs to pick those statistics up a little more. Last week when they were playing in Saskatchewan, he had 318 yards passing in the first half, and the offense went a little stale in the second half. He needs to be more consistent, spread those yards out a little more evenly, and he'll get much more production from his offense.
And it could be a good night for that man, a guy you played for, James, longtime legendary coach, Bob Obilovich.
Well, he's searching for his 100th career victory here in the CFL, where he started out as a head coach in Toronto and looking to get that number 100 here in Toronto.
Kerrigan off to a good start. Flag on the play. Had some motion on the line. 3 for 4, 69 yards and a touchdown for Kerrigan. We've probably got about that much in penalty yardage combined, and most of it tonight has gone against the Posse of Las Vegas.
Well, you had Stephen Anderson, 92, and Daryl Corbin, number 30, jump offside for the Posse. Corbin's an interesting story. His brother is a basketball player for the Utah Jazz.
Offside, Las Vegas, number 92. First down repeated.
That would be Tyrone, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is.
To Paul Blue Demon.
Yes.
Not
Ray
bad.
Meyer,
you got
head
that
coach.
Right. The coach, as they say in Chicago, or just coach, I think.
Just coach.
Pinball left side, quick hit, stutter step out of bounds at the 44. Forced out of bounds by Clark and Sawyer.
Classic pinball Clemens. Quick pitch to the left. Clemens gets out on the corner. Clark and Sawyer's giving a little hip, little shudder there, and gets up, picks up a couple extra yards before being driven out at the 43-yard line. Mike is such a tough player to corral. Played at William and Mary University, and he's been all that you could ever expect from him in the CFL.
Born in Clearwater, Florida, 5'6", 170 pounds. The quick hit to the guy we just spoke of, tangled up there by number 32. That is Brad Lacombe.
When you look at Mike, it takes several players to bring him down on a regular basis. This is a guy who can make you miss in a phone booth. Mike Clemens is just as agile as you'll ever find a player.
Mike Clemens leads the league with 570 all-purpose yards. And those were the statistics through week 3 in the CFL. Had 150 all-purpose yards against Saskatchewan at Regina. Kerrigan from the gun goes left, caught, and down to the 47-yard line. The reception made by the man who already has a touchdown reception tonight, number 18, Jeff Fairholm.
Jeff Fairholm out of the University of Arizona came over as a free agent from Saskatchewan, lined up in the slot left. The simple out route, and Fairholm was able to get in the seam before Al Jordan was able to bring him down after he had got down to the 47-yard line.
Fairholm in Saskatchewan was the number 3 all-time receiver when he came over here to Toronto. Tonight, 2 catches, 46 yards, and of course the touchdown. The give to Pinball. He goes left side. He's hit at about the 47-yard line. That one will go without a gain in all likelihood, maybe a half a yard.
Well, it's very tough to run against this Posse defense. They have a lot of team speed. Clemens came into this game with 175 yards on the ground. That time he was tracked down by Shante Peoples. People read the counter tray, stayed at home, able to bring Clemens down for no gain on the play.
Shante Peoples, the linebacker out of the University of Michigan, grew up in Saginaw. Kerrigan on 2nd and 9 from the 46, complete for the first down. Bobby Gordon with the reception in the first down. So Kerrigan has really been running the sidelines well so far in our contest.
Mike, this is what makes Kerrigan so effective. You see he's throwing on time. 5 strides to the right. Bobby Gordon had got the separation, and he's able to get the ball to him, and Gordon is able to turn around and gather himself before the defenders arrive and picks up another first down on this drive.
So 1st and 10 from the 33, 6:44 remaining in the first quarter. 8-0 Argonauts. Kerrigan, left side, timing pattern. Touchdown, Toronto. Paul Mazzatti.
As Mike Kerrigan had spoke about earlier in the pregame, it was a matter of taking that leadership role to another level. He had Paul Mazzatti on a simple up route, and Mazzatti had gotten behind the defensive secondary, and he strolled right into the corner of the end zone for the second major of the first quarter for Toronto.
Kick is up and good. It is 15-0 Argonauts. Their offense has been just about flawless thus far here in Toronto. Kerrigan, pinball, still trying to go, and he ends up gaining a couple with great effort.
You know, you look at pinball, and I said earlier he'd make you miss in a phone booth, and he was in an area not much bigger than that. He was hit by several defenders. As you see him on the delayed draw right here, 1, 2, 3. Get a little help from his offensive lineman. 4, 5, 6 defenders make contact with Mike Clemens before he's brought down at the 2-yard line. What great effort by Mike Clemens, and we have another Vegas player down on the field at the end of that run. Shante Peoples looks like the defender down on the field.
Shante Peoples, young man from Michigan we mentioned, second with 73 tackles in 1993, 19 starts at the University of Michigan. In 93 against Wisconsin, he had a monster game, 15 tackles against the Badgers. And the second Vegas Posse player to go down, and we talked about it in the open. The injuries have been so frequent for Vegas, and now the bug continues. Man, when you got the bugaboo going, you got it going.
They've been injury prone. They lost 3 players this past week in practice. Ron Meyer said he's almost scared to go out and put the pads on with his team because the players have been falling with such regularity. When you look at their offensive line, it has probably been the most hardest hit by the injury plague. They've lost 3 of their original starting offensive linemen coming into this game. Now they've lost their starting quarterback, so their offense is really hurting. They lost their starting tailback, Kalen Hall, and in the game that he went down, he had 185 yards rushing in the game against Saskatchewan that Vegas won at home for their second victory of the season.
Yeah, look at the look on Ron Meyer's face. Yeah, Coach, we know how you feel.
A look of concern by the head coach of the Las Vegas Posse. Ron Meyer came in feeling very positive about the position that his team was in tonight, coming in at 2-1. Felt that, you know, coming off their first loss last week at home against Sacramento, that they had a fine chance to bounce back against Toronto, who was 1-2. But Toronto has seized opportunity early and taken advantage of it.
And the Posse 2-1. As my partner mentioned, that was a great game. The 22-20 loss to Sacramento at home went to the last play. Shante looks okay. Little limber coming off the field, but he will return to the football game. They beat Sacramento 32-26. Also defeated Saskatchewan 32-22 in overtime. The Posse in that game, 268 rushing yards. Problems here, though. 2nd and goal on the 2. Clemens. Did he get in? Check that. It was the big fullback, Dwayne Ford. And he did not cross the plane of the end zone. At least no indication at this point.
You'll see Ford right here on a dive play over the left side. Great penetration by the Vegas defense to make contact in the backfield. Knock him off. Greg Tucker come in to knock him off of his feet. And Ford, a local product, grew up here in Mississauga locally, played last year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, came over as a free agent, happy to be back in his home area playing football.
In his 4th season in the CFL. 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal situation. And the Argos want the 6. Kerrigan on the keeper.
He didn't get in. He did get in. The Vegas defense stopped him on about the half-yard line. Great defensive stand by the Posse.
Well, could we have a momentum shift finally with just 29 seconds remaining? In the first quarter here in Toronto, they tried to go to the big man Ford, then the keeper. Neither one worked against what we said was a quick, strong defensive line.
Great surge by that defensive line. Got underneath that offensive line, knocked them off their feet. Mike Kerrigan, the quarterback, tried to slide off of his left tackle. Couldn't get there, didn't have the leg drive, and a lot of concern on the coach Bob Obilovich's face. He didn't want to see that. He was hoping that his team could punch it in and hopefully put this Vegas team down further than what they wanted to be.
And thanks to that stand, the Posse defense has still yet to yield a rushing touchdown this season. 109 yards to go. And that is not Lenny Williams. That is the quarterback number 3, Darian Hagan.
Darian Hagan, the rookie quarterback out of the University of Colorado, the number 3 quarterback. They kept him on the roster mainly for his running ability. They put in a complete Veer running package for Darian Hagan, and he's been inserted into the lineup. Len Williams has not been able to get anything going offensively since his insertion, and now Hagan is going to get his chance.
Pass, Las Vegas, number 12. First down repeated.
You'll tell me all your years in football, man, you come to the stadium ready to go.
You have to be ready to play, and he came in the first play as you normally get when you get a different quarterback, and he made a completion, but they had a motion penalty. Sometimes you get a different voice inflection when you get a new quarterback in the game, and the offense is not in sync with that, and someone jumped on that play.
So no time on the clock, but in the CFL, this will be the last play of the quarter. Hagan just got to about the 2-yard line with the other play. We'll take a timeout. We've got 1 quarter in the books. It's the CFL on the deuce, and the Argos are in the lead. Toronto leads, start of the second, 15-0. That tough defense of the Las Vegas Posse still yet to yield a rushing touchdown. Bob Obilovich knows it firsthand.
Well, in the CFL, it's almost a given that you can pick up a yard because you have the yard giving it at the line of scrimmage by the defensive line, but just great speed and reaction by that Posse defense didn't allow the Argos to penetrate the goal line.
I love the reaction, but when you've been in the game forever, you just don't get that emotional anymore. Darian Hagan needs to get out of the end zone, throws to the sideline, incomplete, trying to go to Prince Wembley 3.
Well, one of the keys of the Argonauts was that they were going to have to be able to get pressure on the Las Vegas quarterbacks, and they've been able to step up with that tonight. You'll see Prince Wembley coming down the sideline on an up route, breaking it off to come back to the quarterback. Hagan had rolled out. He threw the ball behind his receiver, and the defensive back was all over top of him there. Tommy Henry driving him out of bounds. this is the situation where you like to come after your punters, and Need has to be aware and get this one off quick because the Argos might be coming up front.
Keene averaging just over 40 yards a punt. That one almost touched. Pinball at the 48. I'll tell you what, man. Even when he doesn't move, it's fun to watch him try to juke.
Hey, you can never see anybody so exciting losing 3 yards on a play than the pinball. That time he made 4 players dodge and miss. You see him right here. Mike Clement fields the ball. He's trying to find a lane up the right side, makes the first player miss, the second player comes back around before being corralled by 6 members of the Las Vegas Posse.
There's the first 15 minutes numerically for you. First downs 4, Las Vegas yet to get one. Passing yards, just 14 yards offensively for Vegas. Time of possession obviously a key, and so are the penalties. 8 flags, 45 yards. Toronto yet to be carded. Quick hit over the middle. Brought down by the last man available. Clark with the tackle. As making something happen after the reception, Bobby Gordon.
And we get another flag. Look to the left of your screen. Argos in trip formation. Bobby Gordon with the quick slant, the hot route, read by Mike Kerrigan. The defender's not closing close enough, but Clark dragging him down and getting a flag right at the end of that play. Bobby Gordon stepped on Clark. You're getting an objectionable conduct here.
Number 84.
Cost the Argos 15 yards after that great reception and run by Gordon.
And the gain was 29. It won't stand that way with the penalty. Still, they come out on the positive side. We've got a situation here. 30-yard line now, the line of scrimmage for Toronto. 1st and 10. Kerrigan. Complete again to Fairholm. Stopped right prior to the 20-yard line.
Well, Mike Kerrigan has read that the Posse is sitting back in that deep man. They're not crowding the line of scrimmage. They're giving too much space. They're giving 7 yards at the line of scrimmage. The defenders are. And what he is doing is he is throwing the hot route. And that time, Jeff Fairholm in the slot, the quick slant. Kerrigan getting the ball to him on time down to the 20-yard line. 2.5 yards to go.
13:08 remaining in the second. Argonauts have been in command. Kerrigan on the keeper. And it is a 1st down, Toronto.
The Vegas Posse defense has spent a lot of time on the field here in the first half. They're going to have someone come up with the big play. They came up with the big play to stop the Argos at the goal line, the last drive that they were on, but they cannot allow the Argos to keep marching the ball down here in this type of field position. Otherwise, they will be worn out before the first half is over.
Yeah, you talk about efficiency. Mike Kerrigan, 10 of 11, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. This will be his 12th pass of the day. Thrown out of bounds. Good coverage on the play by Las Vegas's Al Jordan.
Well, Corbin came free on the blitz from the right side, and he forced Kerrigan to throw that ball sooner than in what he wanted to throw it before Mazzotti could open clear on the left side on an up route, and he just threw that one into the stands.
So 2nd and 10 from the 19. Argonauts with the possibility of having over a 20-point lead given to the #1 defense in the CFL. That's a situation Coach Obilovich would be very pleased with. Kerrigan right. Double pumps, looks end zone. There it is, James. Pass him out there, small. Eric Drage with the touchdown reception.
Eric Drage, the rookie wideout from BYU, playing in only his 2nd CFL game. Mike Kerrigan on a roll right, something that he doesn't like to do, but Drage is open in front of the coverage right at the goal line, and he concentrates and pulls it in for his 1st CFL touchdown. A happy Eric Drage right there.
Well, Drage is a player. During his days at BYU, he set a school record, 29 touchdown receptions, 3,066 yards. The kick is good for a single point. Not a single.
Single point. We can say an extra point conversion in that one.
We're going to take a timeout here on the Deuce. 22-0 Toronto leads.
You know, Coach Ron Meyer said football is football I heard that same saying last year from coach in Sacramento. Kay Stevens said football was football. But fundamentally it's different. You have to have the complete fundamentals of the CFL game when you come to playing the game. There's so many different things that can occur to you in any instance that your team has to be completely prepared for it. And with the 29 rookies, you can see the advantage that the Argonauts have tonight against the Las Vegas Posse.
We said in the open that on paper, at least the way both teams had performed, as Lenny Williams throws another incompletion, that we thought that Vegas was the favorite because of their speed. And as you know, James, speed kills. We've talked about that on many times as we've got an injury.
Carl Coulter,
Toronto,
backup offensive lineman for the Toronto Argonauts, looked like he may have a rib problem there. You can see the medical staff with his jersey up on the side checking that rib area, and that's a very painful injury if you get something and go wrong with those ribs.
But although Vegas has a lot of speed, they dug themselves a hole right away with the overzealousness off the opening kickoff. 3 times they had to redo it, and now they lose the football again. Picked off, and it is trouble extraordinaire for the Posse.
Calvin Teagle, the middle linebacker, getting back in his drop, and once again you see Len Williams sitting in the pocket, not looking that comfortable as he throws over the middle. He throws the ball behind his receiver. Once again, Prince Wembley and Calvin Teagle there for the reflection off of Prince Wembley to pick up the interception, his second interception of the season.
Teagle came in, the team leader, with 17 tackles, 5 against Saskatchewan, 6 against Baltimore, just his first year in the CFL. First game in the CFL for Len Williams, a tough one.
You see Mike Campbell, the defensive end, back along with Teagle in the middle of the field right there. But Teagle is slowly developing into a solid middle linebacker here for the Argos.
Dwayne Ford pumps it to about the 6-yard line.
You see the intensity on the middle linebacker, Teagle right there. He's all pumped up. That's what you like to see, a little fire in the eyes of your middle linebacker, a lot of intensity. Guy who's setting the tone for how the defense should be played.
All those guys from DC got a little fire in their eyes. 6'4", 240 pounds. And you know he loved playing against Baltimore, being a native of Washington, D.C. in his first year with the Argonauts of Toronto.
Well, he's a happy young man right there. And it's nice to see the Argonauts come out tonight with a little more intensity than what they've come out with in the past couple of games. Tonight they came out and they've taken control of this game early, knowing that they had a young team. If they could get up on top, it would be very hard for Las Vegas to come back. And then when they lost their starting quarterback, made it even tougher. They have a player down on the field right now. Yes. Stephen Adams, a defensive tackle who came into this game with 2 quarterback sacks in his own right, and they've really thinned in the ranks right now. You can't afford to lose too many players, and Adams looks to be okay getting up under his own power right here, but they just can't afford to lose many more players tonight, Mike.
Well, as we mentioned previously, 7 guys placed on the injured reserve this week alone by Ron Meyer. Stephen Anderson, ironically, gets hit by Dwayne Ford. Ford at fullback is such a truck. He is heavier than every man except Stephen Anderson on the Posse defense. 2nd and 4 from the 6. Good pressure placed on Kerrigan. Now that's the defense we advertised earlier, that speedy defense of the Posse.
Well, that's what they have to do more often. That time they loaded it up on the right side. They brought 2 linebackers off the corner. You'll see Corbin here with the great penetration, able to get to Kerrigan before he was able to set up along with Greg Tucker, getting the pressure there, and that's what you have to do to Mike Kerrigan. He wants to throw the football between 3 and 5 steps, and if you can get up in his face and force him to throw it early, generally he won't find a receiver.
So from the 6, they'll go for the 3. A 13-yard field goal attempt. The Argos have missed 1, came away with a single. And the Posse jumped, but were they drawn off?
We might get a shift in the right side of the Argonauts offensive line, and they probably drew him offsides. I think that's the call that the official is going to go with. He's going to get the Argonauts for illegal motion. And the Argonauts thought that they had caught the Posse in the neutral zone because you're allowed to shift, and they went down in the shift mode.
Illegal procedure, Toronto, the line, 1st down repeated.
And they caught the Posse in the neutral zone. I think that's a very questionable call by the officials. They've been a little flag happy tonight, and that's one I think they might have thrown in the wrong direction. We got a shot of Coulter on the sideline receiving some oxygen here. I do think that's probably a rib injury. Bruised ribs is what we're getting from the bench that he has. And very painful injury for a big man to have. Any man, really.
So Longley will back it up a little bit for the field goal attempt. And it is good. He does hit one, has a single. 3 points on that one, 25. 36 seconds remaining here in the first half at Sky Dome in Toronto.
And after the almost 3-minute warning in every half, the clock will stop until the ball is marked for play by the official. And so the offense doesn't have to rush to get to the line of scrimmage.
Kerrigan over the middle. Bobby Gordon inside the 20.
Gordon is down on the play. Battle on the tackle. Gordon running a slant route, and Battle just leveled him. Looked like he may have a shoulder injury right here, but Greg Battle coming over. The middle was wide open. The safety didn't get there in time, and the linebacker was forced to make the tackle, and Bobby Gordon was forced to pay for it.
Bobby Gordon played collegiately at Nebraska Omaha. Bob Obilovich liked what he saw. Came here last year to the Argos. Was cut by the former regime, but not this year. He was kept this year. Gordon 4 catches for 65 yards, including the touchdown reception. Toronto leads 25-0.
25-0, and Vegas right now doesn't have a clue. You'll see Gordon right here being taken to the turf very hard by linebacker Greg Battle right here out of Arizona State, 10-year veteran. And Gordon felt all of that blow as he hit the turf here at Sky Dome, and he's going off the field under his own power. Looks like he will be back. Mike Clemens is also out of the lineup on the far sideline. He had gone out earlier. Looked like he's heading to the locker room. Looked like he's dragging his left shoulder also. Right now, the Argos are getting a little banged up. They could be very fortunate that they have a 25-point lead. Yeah, he's headed towards the locker room right there, and he doesn't look too healthy.
At halftime today on the Deuce, as you saw Mike Clemens pinball going off, you'll get to meet him a little bit inside the 5-yard line. We'll have a feature on Mike Clemens pinball. Kerrigan will use the 1 timeout right here.
Norm Casola, rookie slot back out of Windsor, University of Windsor, that time on the quick slant by Mike Kerrigan. He's been very effective throwing that hot route tonight. You'll see Mike Clemens right there going into the locker room again with some medical assistance. Looks to be in some bit of pain leaving the field.
A 1990 outstanding player in the CFL. They're going for the 6. Major for Toronto. And we are looking at a major blowout. Eric Drage with his 2nd touchdown reception.
All you have to do is give the young man an opportunity to play. He only had 2 receptions prior to tonight's game. Now he has his 2nd touchdown of his CFL career in only his 2nd start. Eric Drage, the rookie out of BYU, on the simple fade route, as you've seen, going to the corner of the end zone. The secondary just not able to stay up with him. Al Jordan, as Drage gets the separation, and another major for the Argos.
Major domination for Toronto.
And this offense tonight for the Argos has been about efficient as you can expect from a CFL offense. Mike Kerrigan has come out and been masterful here in the first half. Once again, you see him in the corner to Drage, as Jordan could only chase Drage as he had got behind the secondary for his 2nd touchdown of the evening. They have moved up and down the field at will. They have taken advantage of all the mistakes that the Posse has made here in the first half. And the Argos have put 32 points on the scoreboard here in the first half alone. And we still have 11 seconds to go.
Drive took only 31 seconds. Eric Drage, 3 receptions, 39 yards, 2 touchdowns. The fans here in Toronto got that flag hanging with pride right now.
And you thought arena football was fast, didn't you, Mike?
I did before this. I'm impressed with Eric Drage so far this evening, but no reason not to be. All WAC performer 2 times. Had a 33-game passing streak snapped by a rib injury. So, I mean, this is a kid who put up some numbers and was involved in one of the most exciting games in college football that we have seen in years.
Well, we have two players tonight that were involved in that game. Anthony Cavallo, the quarterback for Las Vegas, was the quarterback for Utah State when they played BYU last year in that wide open contest that ended 52-50. And Cavallo threw 5 touchdown passes and ran for 2 in that game.
And Cavallo, again, if you joined us late, out on the first play from scrimmage, twisted an ankle. So we have seen multiple quarterbacks. That man right there, Len Williams, and also Darian Hagan of Colorado. Been a frustrating night for the head coach, general manager Ron Meyer. I'll tell you, that return by Dave Clark, the up man, he's a center and offensive lineman, on the squib kick. He had a little enthusiasm going there.
Well, after the penalty that he had got on the last punt, he had to make up for it in some kind of way, and he did with a nice return out to the 51-yard line.
7 seconds remaining in the half. Williams rolls left, goes into the flat, wide open, out of bounds. There is
we'll get the field goal team
Yep.
coming on the field. Carlos Huerta, who is the field goal kicker out of the University of Miami, played on national championship teams down there. Coming into this game, has 2 field goals in excess of 50 yards going into this, and so this is well within his range. He's 2 for 2 outside the 50-yard line.
He's made one from 54 and 53. He's #1 in the league with an average field goal length of 43.8 yards.
Well, he has the leg, and he's kicking off the AstroTurf. Most kickers like to kick off the AstroTurf, and he does not use a tee. All kickers in the CFL use a tee. Carlos Huerta likes the ball placed on the field, and he kicks straight from the ground.
We've got a timeout on the play. Timeout down on the field. Bob Obilovich awaiting the 46-yard field goal attempt by Carlos Huerta. 6 of 8 from the field goal range this year. 75%. That long we talked about. 54 also made the 53-yarder. Did miss a 35-yarder though against Sacramento, a game in which he had 8 points. Carlos to erase the 0 for the Posse here on the deuce. The kick is up, and it is good. Carlos Huerta again extending it with the foot. 32-3. Vegas has some things to discuss in the locker room, my friend.
Just a tremendous offensive display by the Argonauts here in the first half, but a great motivator for the Posse right at the end. Huerta able to kick the 46-yard field goal to erase the 0.
We are at the half here on the deuce. Back with more after this. Welcome back to Sky Dome. Halftime just about reaching its completion. Las Vegas in big trouble here, trailing Toronto 32-3. Big reason, quarterback Mike Kerrigan, 16 of 21, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's found 7 different receivers. He has been outstanding.
But the most telling of all those numbers, 0 in the touchdown column. Mike Kerrigan has been, well, in the interception column, I take that back. Mike Kerrigan has almost been flawless tonight. He has been impeccable in finding his receivers all over the field. The offensive line has given him great time to do that.
His favorite guy coming in to tonight's game has been Paul Mazzotti. He's found Paul Mazzotti twice for 52 yards. One of those a touchdown reception. Paul's got a smile on his face, has great reason to be pleased with what his team has done so far. Paul coming off that career night at Saskatchewan. And he had 7 receptions for 182 yards, 52 tonight. A touchdown on 2 receptions for Paul Mazzotti from Hamilton.
You look at Paul Mazzotti's numbers. He came into this game averaging 24.5 yards a reception. He hasn't done anything to hurt it. The big play receiver for the Argos, and he's been a key to their success early in the game, and he helped open up the deep passing game.
You know, he's an elementary teacher in the offseason, and Toronto has certainly taken Vegas to school.
Well, he's been passing out a few lessons here tonight to the secondary of the Las Vegas Posse. Secondary that is loaded with a lot of speed, but the problem is that they've had problems reading the quarterback, and sometimes even with all that speed you can't make up that much ground, and they've been victimized tonight a few times by the Argo receivers.
You saw Drage's numbers making Bob Obilovich very smart right now, because remember, Dixon was taken off the active roster as Obilovic is looking for his 100th win this evening, and Eric Drage may be one of the reasons why he gets it. Setzer returns the kick to the 36, maybe 37-yard line.
And Calvin Teagle, the middle linebacker, down to knock him off stride at the 35, where the Posse will start their opening drive of the second half. We'll see what type of adjustments the coaching staff has made with Lynn Williams at quarterback. Have they made some adjustments with their passing game to put him in a more of a comfortable situation with the short passing game to get him on track?
Las Vegas needs to simply go to typical CFL offense. And they generally run an atypical offense because they like to rush the ball so much, and they're still running the football.
Well, you know, it's hard to understand right now what they expect to accomplish by continuing with the ball on the ground. We know that early in Ron Meyer's career at UNLV and SMU, when he was down at SMU, you'll see right here with the hit that he gets from Jackson, who has been converted to a linebacker from defensive back, just came over in a trade from Hamilton. When he was at SMU, he had Eric Dickerson and Craig James, two highly touted running backs. But this is the CFL. This is a wide open passing league.
Pony Express rode out of town, brother.
Hey, the Posse was, but this is the Posse now.
Williams to pass in the flat over the 50-yard line. Reception made by the Posse. That is more typical, as Zed Robinson gets the reception.
Big problems for Toronto. We see Pinball Clemens, Mike Pinball Clemens, number 31, with his left arm in a sling. Not a good sight for Argonaut fans nor the coaching staff to see Pinball Clemens out. He's not going to return tonight, and it's going to be a question mark. Will he be ready for next Thursday night's game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Pinball from William and Mary, 6th year with the Argonauts. Right side, some space. Big hit.
Nikita Crispina coming up from his halfback position, the rookie out of Temple, coming up, upsetting Rusty Seltzer as he came around the right side. You'll see Rusty on a counter tray. He's going to get back around to the right side of the formation. If we can roll it right here, and you'll see him right here with the handoff, the two guards getting out around the corner. You see Don Moan, the linebacker, being sealed inside, but look at Chris Spina, who comes up and just up-ends Seltzer as he got to the 51-yard line.
So 2nd and 3 on the 51. Right side timing pattern with room. Mayfield. He was thinking about what was about to be landed on his sternum and not catching the football.
Brian McCurdy floating over from his free safety position. Williams just lays this one out. He doesn't throw a tight spiral, and the ball hangs, and Curtis Mayfield, like many receivers will do, will take their eyes off of the ball and watch McCurdy come in and clean his clock right here. Bam. That's the way you play center field. You make a receiver pay for it. You might as well catch it. You're going to take the hit anyway. And we have another offensive lineman down for Las Vegas back at midfield. This is a position where they just can't afford to lose any more players at, and it's a very costly injury.
At 60, Claude Jones, partner.
The right offensive tackle is coming off the field on his own power. Looked like it may be an ankle sprain, a slight ankle sprain, but Claude Jones, who had been moved to offensive tackle when they lost the original starter at right offensive tackle on that side, Ben Jefferson. Ben Jefferson, 6'9", 335 pounds, out of the University of Maryland.
This will be the 7th punt tonight for Keene. Robbie Keene averaging just under 40 yards per kick. You don't want to be kicking 7 times. That's a good one. Be played at the 13. Flag on the play. Quick tackle made.
We're going to get another no yards call right here against the Posse. Greg Tucker, number 35.
We'll take a timeout. They'll start it in a moment back here on the Deuce. Well, Pinball still smiling, although he is done for the evening. Pinball Mike Clemens and Toronto leading 32-3 at Shreveport. Pinball had 203 combined yards. You may well know that he was the 1990 outstanding player in the Canadian Football League. Set a pro record, not a CFL, folks, a professional football record with 3,300 combined yards. Last year he was number 3 in the CFL with a measly 2,145. Here's what he's done this evening. All-purpose yards just 62, 31 of those on the ground, 28 in the air, and just 3 on returns. Usually it's about 303 in that category.
There's never been a more exciting player in the history of professional football than Mike Clemens out of William and Mary College. Mike right now is sidelined with a shoulder injury, but it tells you how valuable he is to this team. We'll see how effective they are offensively here in the second half without his presence in the lineup.
Kerrigan hands off, cutting back towards the 34-yard line on the carry.
George Nanekmo
for Toronto,
on the carry, running a simple counter left, cutting that back against the grain, trying to get up inside between the tackles. Picked up about 4 yards on the carry before being dropped by the Posse defense.
You think he's still mad at me for saying that he was delivered the hit as opposed to being the deliverer?
Well, that time he got delivered on by Anthony Blue, who planted him at the 34-yard line.
So I'll say this time that he delivered the hit on Anthony Blue, and then we'll be even. Kerrigan back to pass, 2nd and 5 from the 34. In the far flat, driven out of bounds by number 2, Anthony Blue. The reception made by 84, Robbie Gordon.
Well, the secondary for the Posse is giving these Argos receiver too much space to work in. You see Kerrigan consistently getting outside to contain by the linebackers and the rush ends, and the receiver Gordon working back to his quarterback like you should, and Anthony Blue, he had the separation against him, and Kerrigan had a nice soft spot to deliver the football in.
There's 11 minutes and 20 seconds left here in the 3rd quarter. Mike Goldberg alongside James Curry, the CFL here on the Deuce. 1st and 10 from the 43, incomplete pass.
I think the official that time might have been a little tired of throwing a flag because Blue looked like he might have got there stride early. As you know, he jumped that route as he was coming across the middle once again.
And that is Anthony Blue, not to be confused with the double blue of the Toronto Argonauts.
All right, I'll let you have that one.
Okay. See, I read my media guide.
Is that what? Okay. All right.
Page 14.
Well, let me double check.
There were some big words in there, though. I was trying to call you last night for a little help.
Well, I want to see you pronounce number 44's name.
He is number 44 in the flat. 2nd and 10 from the 43. Breaking a couple of tackles.
I'll give you his first name. I'll give you advantage. It's Leon, and give me the rest. Number 44, defensive lineman for the Argonauts. Once again, get a little scuffle on the field as Drage catches another pass. A lot of pursuit there by the Posse defense. A little late hitting going on. The Argos are going to be forced into a punting situation once again.
On a 3rd and 2 from the 51. Yeah, it's Eric Hatziananu.
No. It's Leon, not Eric.
Oh, Leon. Okay, so I just mispronounced
I mean, you
his
couldn't
first
even get the 4 letters right. So let's go with Hatziano.
That's it?
All right, Leon.
I made it more. Leon Hatziano.
Let's stay with Leon. You're safe.
I talked to coach about not playing him tonight. Good punt, deep. Fielded and lost. Fumbled and got back, avoiding the single potentially. The bad news is Posse will have the ball on the 1. Setzer had trouble setting himself under that one.
Great punt by Lamley. Great coverage by the Argos specialty team. Seltzer mishandled the ball. The thing he doesn't understand that in the CFL, you don't have to field the ball. You can turn around and get position, view the defense, and then pick up the ball once you've spotted your lane. But when you're trying to catch the ball over your shoulder, that's a very difficult catch. He didn't field it cleanly. He allowed the cover team to get down on him, and now they're pinned down at the 2-yard line.
Heck of a boot. 4 punts, 46-yard average for Wayne Lamley. Rolling behind the crossbar. And it gets knocked down, almost picked off by Eddie Thomas. He saw major written all over that one. We've got another violation flag on the turf.
We're going to get a roughing the passer penalty against defensive end Mike Campbell. You'll see as Williams roll right.
Foul, roughing the passer, Toronto number 99.
Mike Campbell
First down.
got there about 3 steps late after the ball was gone and everyone was watching the flight downfield. And he just leveled Williams, and it's going to cost the Argos 15 yards on that play, and it will get the Posse some breathing room out of their own end zone.
Was that objectionable conduct?
No, that's roughing. That's a little different.
Well, that would be objectionable.
Verbiage.
Okay. Len Williams 5 for 9, 72 yards, 2 interceptions. 1st and 10 from the 17 for Las Vegas. Double pumps, goes over the middle, wide open, and up past the 40-yard line. Prince Wembley 3 with the reception.
That pass right there was Len Williams' best pass of the night. But one thing that he does with the football, he stands in the pocket and he pats the football. A quarterback, it takes a little more time when you're standing there patting the ball. You got to be ready to crank it, and it will take something off of it, and it allows the secondary to recover when you're standing there patting the ball.
Yeah, fans, that is the Prince Wembley you're thinking of. Member of the 1992 national champion Crimson Tide of Alabama. Going for it all. Great reception. Hauled in beautifully. Robert Claiborne.
Claiborne playing in his first game of the season. The offensive line is doing a good job of giving Williams the time. He rears back, he cranks it out, and Claiborne goes horizontal to bring that one in for his first reception of the season. And the Posse, with great field position down at the 31-yard line, have mounted their best drive of the night thus far. Claiborne with the 37-yard reception. 2 plays, 62 yards, 1st and 10, ball on the Toronto 31. Now they go back to the run. Big 88, Zed Robinson. It's very important for the Posse to get something positive out of this drive. They moved the ball from their own 1-yard line. They've marched down to the 25-yard line of the Argonauts thus far, and it's very key that they do not come up with a turnover, critical mental error to stop this drive.
32-3 our score. Only 4 other CFL coaches have recorded 100 victories. Curtis Mayfield has to wait for it. Major finally for the Posse.
Great march by Len Williams, the rookie quarterback out of Northwestern, showing a lot of poise on that drive. It was all started with the roughing penalty on Mike Campbell, the defensive end, back in the end zone when they had him pinned back on the 2-yard line. A very costly mental error for the Argonauts to give them decent field position. You'll see him right here throwing the fade to Prince Wembley III, who had gotten behind Eddie Thomas, just threw the jump ball. Wembley wanted it more, went to the high point, brought it down. Posse's first touchdown of the night.
And they will go for 2. And they got it. 32-11 our score. Curtis Mayfield with the touchdown reception. The receiver out of Oklahoma State. 7:32 remains in the 3rd. Welcome to the Sky Dome Hotel, football fans. Out your bedroom window, into the playing field. 4:46. Take a look, see if we can pick up the violation on the last play, Big Daddy.
Well, we get Gordon right here as he's trying to get a wall right return, and you can see him taking it to the far side of the field right here, and we get the illegal block right there in the back. And that's what killed it right there. Tommy Henry, the culprit on the play.
Mike Kerrigan, 18-25, 278 yards. We asked him, now that the Argos are moving, can they pull off a string of victories?
Well, it's a 22-man operation, obviously, 37-man roster, but, I've got a big part being a quarterback, and so I do have a lot of control over what happens on the offensive side of the ball, and the expectations are high. I thought we had a good training camp. We have some new faces, but they're guys that can really play the game, so, we don't want to drop to 1-3. That's the biggest thing in our division, and, get back to 2-2 in the first place.
4 touchdowns, and Mike Kerrigan, James, has been doing the wing thing. Now, here's the deal. 2 sacks, and the boys get food. Buffalo wings. He drives to Buffalo, brings back food for the offensive linemen. Less than 2 sacks, they get wings and beer from Buffalo. He goes over, deals with custom, pays the duties. He's neither fleet nor mobile, but certainly he is generous.
Well, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen when they give up no sacks. Is that a steak dinner thrown in there?
That could be. Speaking of quarterbacks, Anthony Calvillo on crutches, hurt the ankle. Game wasn't even underway for him yet. And he is done for tonight. How long, we're not sure. Ron Meyer certainly hopes not too long. Kerrigan goes up top. Deflected away, defensive coverage by Maurice Kelly. And Anthony Blue
Anthony Blue almost came up with an interception at the end of that as Maurice Kelly batted that one in the air, and Anthony Blue had a chance to go out and get that one. He just would not sacrifice his body, but great defensive coverage once again by this Posse secondary, who has made some adjustments at halftime and have come out and they've limited the effectiveness of the Argonaut offense, and then once again 2 plays and punt by Lamley.
That's exactly right, because Toronto in the third quarter, 2 possessions, 3 plays and out. The punt will come from the 20. 3rd and 10 situation. Uh-oh, this is trouble in the end zone. I'm thinking at least a single here, partner.
No, he's going to give up the safety right here.
Okay, so safety. So kick is single. That is a safety.
Well, you would think it was a single, but it's still going to be a safety. That's the one rule that applies in football regardless of where you are. When that ball is snapped free back into the end zone, and that time Wayne Lamley took his eyes off of it.
Okay, but it was a kick attempt.
It was not, it was a kick attempt, but it was in a separate way, opposite direction. That time it went right through his hands. The players have been having a problem here, but you'll see Lamley rolling around trying to get out and not give up the safety. And he is tracked down by that speed of that Vegas defense.
Hey, I'm just testing you because I know you played for every team in the Canadian Football League, some of them 2 or 3 times. I just want to make sure you got that rule book down.
Well, I got it down. I got the rule book down. I got the travel book down.
You got most of the playbooks down.
Yeah, I kept a few of them, too. You know, if I ever want to become a coach, I could be one of the most knowledgeable guys around.
Would you win any football games, though?
Oh, I'd probably reach 100 victories quicker than anyone in history.
Wow. I'm wondering what I should come back and reply with without being disrespectful for someone of your stature.
Just ask for a job, that's all.
Okay.
Well, right now we're going to get the free kick by the Argonauts after the safety, which is just like in football in America. After safety, you have the option of punting or kicking off. Right now, Wayne Lamley is going to elect to kick off, to come out with the kickoff cover team to see if he can get more hang time. He's been more consistent with his kickoffs than he has with his punts. And right now, Vegas have to feel pretty good. They're still trailing 32-13, but they've done some things here in the second half with 3:12 to go in the second quarter to try to get themselves back in this ball game.
And worthy of note, going into week 5 of the CFL season, Western Division teams have won 9 of 10 games against their Eastern Division foes.
The Western Division in the CFL over the past couple of seasons has been the more dominant of the 2 divisions in the CFL, and they've made a good stand early here in the season thus far. When we looked at the season standings early, we saw 4 teams in a log jam for second place in the Western Division, and 1 team with sole possession of first place.
Toronto 1-2 entering today. Las Vegas, the Posse 2-1. Setzer takes it at the 10. Doubles back. He'll be brought down at the 20-yard line. Might have fallen up to the 21.
Well, can Lynn Williams duplicate what he did with the last possession of football for the Posse? March him downfield for a touchdown.
Len Williams avoids one hand. Takes it above the line of scrimmage. He's hit at the 25. Give him 4 yards on the carry.
You know, Mike, if he'd have looked out in the left flat, he had Zedrick Robinson all alone out in the left flat. But Lynn Williams, not being that polished at quarterback, haven't had that many snaps under his belt, didn't know how to look for a second or third receiver in the pattern and took it upon himself to run with it and pick up 5.
Although we have seen the Posse struggle offensively for the most part tonight, and basically that's because of the injury to their first quarterback, it is worthy of note that their assistant coach and offensive coordinator, Ron Smeltzer, is the former Ottawa head coach. So the guys in Vegas were smart enough to know that the offense is the key to this game. So they brought in a guy with some experience. Lenny Williams having trouble, but they'll get the flag in the pass interference.
Well, that was the key. Tommy Henry is going to be flagged for the pass interference on the play. Ron Meyer did the smart thing. He went out and he brought in coaches with CFL experience, and that was Ron Smeltzer, who's the former head coach in Ottawa last season. Harry Justvig, who was Ron Smeltzer's offensive coordinator, who's calling the plays from the box upstairs. Jeff Reinhold, the specialty team coach from BC, and John Chura, the defensive line coach.
Pass interference, Toronto number 6. first down.
Smeltzer and Meyer right there, but these guys have a vast amount of CFL knowledge, and that was one of the keys that they felt that they could field a very young team because of the experience that they were going to get from the coaching staff, along with Greg Battle, Corbin on defense. These guys would lend a helping hand on the playing field.
1st and 10 from the 35. 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Williams on a 3-step drop over the middle, up past the 45 to the 46-yard line. Prince Wembley 3 with the reception. And a gain of 10.
I like what Williams has done here in the second half thus far. He's thrown those short control passing routes, and that has been very key. Not trying to force the ball, and that time he comes with a simple underneath pattern to Prince Wembley and picks up another first down.
If you go into the fourth with the score 32-20 in the CFL, you got yourself a football game.
You're within reach. When you're down by 21 going into the fourth quarter in the CFL, you're not out of range. I mean, the game is not over until that final clock goes off.
And they go right up the middle. The big handoff to the big guy. Number 37, Kavaka, with the carry. Wilson Kavaka.
And Wilson right there, the Argonauts thought that they had a turnover, but the official had marked his forward momentum, had stopped, and he was being driven back and stripped at the time. But it's going to be a very close call. We'll see Kavaka going up the middle here. Argonauts grabbing at the football. Right there looked like could be very close as Jackson fights him for the ball, but he was down at that point. His knee was on the ground when Jackson pulled the ball free.
They're going to call it a gain of 2. 2nd and 8. Ball on the 48. Going, looking, Mayfield, trouble. They're not going to call it. Curtis Mayfield wanted it. He won't get it. Coverage for the Argonauts by Eddie Thomas.
Eddie Thomas got a gift on this one. Len Williams hasn't thrown many great footballs tonight. He lays this one out. It's a little wobbly, but right here you'll see Eddie Thomas with his right arm holding the receiver, and he was very fortunate. Curtis Mayfield had a step on him. Eddie Thomas was able to grab him and get away with it. We'll get a better shot right here as he pulls back on that jersey, and official number 49 is right there watching. Hesitates to make the call, though.
So a kicking situation again for Robbie Keane. This will be his 9th punt of the contest. That's a semi-shank. Played on the 3rd bounce and brought down there was Bobby Gordon. Now let me ask you, I'm thinking in the NFL, that's a heck of a lot of punts. How about in the CFL?
In the CFL, a punter will average generally 13 punts per ball game.
Is
so
that
you're
right?
going to get that from both sides, so you can account for 26 to 27 punts per ball game by both teams in the kicking game. That's why the kicking game is so critical. Then you throw in the kickoffs, and you're going to average about 6.5 to 7 kickoffs per game in the CFL. So all of a sudden you're up around 34 to 35 plays that's been involved in the kicking game. That's why it's so important.
Clock has run out here in the 3rd. Last play. It'll be a gainer to about the 30-yard line. So we'll take a timeout. 3 in the books here at Skydome in Toronto. The 3rd quarter belongs to the Posse, but they still have some work to do. We're on the deuce. Slightly hotter, 32-13. Slightly hotter in the 3rd quarter. We're the Posse of Las Vegas. They got to stop horsing around, though, at home. You see, the Posse's 8-horse mascot has caused Saskatchewan to file a grievance. Also, the Rough Riders were upset that the cheerleaders were performing in the end zone. Kerrigan in big trouble, dumps it off, almost intercepted. They were cheering in the end zone, the cheerleaders. So the Rough Riders file a grievance with the league. They're upset with the 8-horse Posse and the cheerleaders on the field.
Well, if the cheerleaders like anything like the showgirls down there, I'd be upset too, because it'd be quite a distraction.
Which is exactly what Saskatchewan's head coach said. He said, I got young guys on my team, and they are not very attentive in those particular situations. They lack discipline.
What did the horse do, though?
I don't know what there were 8 of them. I don't know what they did. It is 2nd and 10, ball on the 32. Kerrigan doing a good job of getting rid of the football and avoiding the sack. He goes to Eric Drage, who makes a couple of moves back towards the inside, and he is brought down at the 40-yard line.
Drage had an opportunity to pick up the first down, but that time as he was trying to cut back against the flow, he took himself back and he lost that yardage that he could have possibly picked up. Kerrigan getting rid of the ball very quickly here. Drage has plenty of time. If he takes it straight up field right here, he picks up the first down. As he tries to weave back through the defense, they stop him at the 40-yard line, 2 yards short of the first down. Argonauts once again forced to punt here in the second half. They have not been able to mount a drive entering the fourth quarter right here. This Vegas defense has risen to the challenge. Now they have to see if their offense can come out and answer. They're running out of opportunities.
Yeah, the 9 yards not good enough to get the first. The 5th, or check that, 6th punt of the evening for Wayne, but not a bad effort. 45.6 a kick.
Coming into the game with only a 38-yard average, he has to be pleased, and probably his worst punt of the night right here.
Almost a good result, though, for Toronto. Will it be? Yes. Rusty Setzer can't haul it in. Fumble on the play. Argonaut football.
But we're going to get a no-yards penalty here. The ball will remain with the Posse. Right here, you'll get Obilovich in that 5-yard zone right here. And they're going to call him on that, and it's going to cost him the ball. Make that.
Toronto number 19, 15 yards, first down.
Take that back. Keita Crispina, who came within that 5-yard umbrella, and he infringed. So after they recovered the fumble, they lost it because of the penalty.
Stats through 3 quarters here at Sky Dome. I bet they won't be as lopsided as they were at the break. 6 first downs, most of those coming in the 3rd quarter. All of them, those are our 3rd quarter stats. Pardon me. 278 passing yards, 170. As you see, the Posse doing a much better job here in the 3rd, avoiding some pressure going back across the grain. The reception made by Prince Wembley 3. Take a look at the numbers again, James. What do they tell you?
Well, the big key is that in the first half, the Posse only had 59 yards passing, and they've had 170 now after 3 quarters of play, which has been key. The Argonauts have slowed down quite a bit. Mike Kerrigan only picking up 16 yards passing in the 3rd quarter.
We said they had to stop getting flagged upon, too. They have done that so far here in the second half.
The flags got dirty. They probably color green by now.
You got that right. Flag on the play. Williams goes up top. Coverage is good. Almost deflected into the hands, though, of Tamarick Vanover. But still, we'll see what the violation here is this time.
Well, we're going to get a motion call for starters against the Posse right here. The officials threw that flag early, and that's generally what you get. And it's probably followed up with a roughing the passer against the Argonauts. So the Posse possibly could gain about 5 yards off of this penalty.
Yeah, right through the hands of Brian McCurdy, almost into the hands of Tamarick Vanover, but none of it would have made much of a difference.
Holding, Las Vegas number 53. Offside, Toronto number 73. 2nd down repeated.
The Posse will lose 5 yards on this. They got the double whammy. We get the holding on Harris, Carl Harris, who is playing left guard tonight. He had started the season at center, but due to the injuries at the offensive line, and they've had to reshuffle their offensive front with 3 different starters from the original 5, and Harris had to move to left guard. That time he was caught holding Carroll, the nose guard, Kevin Carroll, of the Argonauts.
So it is ball on the 55 on the center line. 2nd and 11. Williams over the middle, caught short of the first down.
It's going to be an interesting play call here by Coach Ron Myers and his coaching staff. It's going to be 3rd and short. A bad spot by the officials. Looked like he was standing on the 40, and they marked him back. We'll make that the 45. They marked him back at the 46. And it's going to be a 3rd and 2 situation here. And they're going to be forced to go for it with a little under 12 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter.
Robert Claiborne with the reception. So it is indeed 3rd and 2. Ball on the 46 of Toronto. Important play here for Vegas. They go with the runs that Robinson just stuffed. Absolutely stuffed.
Rodney Harding, the 10-year veteran and defensive tackle out of Oklahoma State, submarine and made the play.
Ron Myers' team in trouble. They trail in the 4th. 32-13 our score. Back here at Sky Dome, Mike Goldberg, James Curry, 10:24 remaining in our contest. Special teams break down again for Toronto.
Blaine Smith, the long snapper right here, just gets too much air on that ball. He gets his rear end up too high as he releases the snap, and the ball flies again over Wayne Lamley, the punter's head, and he's tracked down by the defense. You see Blaine Smith over there taking a little H2O in on the sideline right there, a little frustrated. That's his second snap that has gone awry this evening. And right now the Posse has the ball, Mike, in great field position at the 25.
And that was even higher than the first one, because the first one kind of went through Lamley's hands. That one was truly out of his reach. Check out this for those at home. Rushing yards season average 186 tonight. They haven't even reached the half-century mark.
Well, when you're behind like they were at halftime, 32-3, you don't have many opportunities to run the football, and that will account for your rushing yards to be quite low.
And when they have even attempted to, they have not been successful. Len Williams will be sacked. They haven't been successful trying to pass either, have they?
Kevin Carroll, the rookie defensive tackle, once again all over Len Williams. The defensive front right here pouring through. As we mentioned, when the running game is not that effective when you're trailing, and they know the Argonauts defense that the Posse must pass, they pin their ears back and come.
Because of the mobility of Vegas, because of the speed, you said right off the top of the show that the Toronto Argonauts defense had to put pressure on the quarterback.
And they've been successful in doing it tonight.
Williams up top. Far side, waiting. Touchdown. I was waiting also for the indication, and it is touchdown Las Vegas. Curtis Mayfield.
Wonderful catch by Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield missed last week's game with an injury, but you see him right here on an up route. Just a simple up route. Len Williams airs it out. He's able to run up underneath the ball. Chris Crispina not able to get over from his halfback position in time. Right in the corner of the end zone. The offensive line giving him time to release the ball. Just a three-step drop. He lets it fly, comes over the top with it. Perfect strike. Vegas on the score once again with a 32-19.
38-yard touchdown reception. Here is the convert.
They tricked them once. They're going to come into a normal kicking formation here this time.
Will it be a 1- or 2-point convert? It is the single point convert.
Extra point. Kevin Smelly is running quite hard coming into the game, seeing his first action at running back this season with the loss of the two tailbacks, Nanaimo and Clemens, and it's the two fullbacks, Ford and Smelly, in there, and Smelly has been able to pick up valuable yardage, that time picking up 6 on first down.
So it will be a 2nd and 3. They're going to mark it 2nd and 3 from the 31. As the clock is stopped because we're under 3 minutes in the half. Kerrigan. And that will now be a field goal situation.
And this is not a sure thing with Wayne Lamley coming in the game.
You got that right.
And the crowd is letting them know that, hey, you got to make these chip shots. And that's the price you have to pay. When the Argonauts came in this year, Coach Obilovich felt that he had 2 veteran kickers that he could no longer afford to carry on the roster. He wanted someone that could do double duty, punt and kick. So he released veterans Hank Alisic and Lance Chomick. And Lamley had all the pressure laid on his shoulders, and it's been a tough situation, and he hasn't responded yet.
Just 1 of 3 this evening. Missed the 25-yarder. This one a better opportunity, and it is good. He kept the head down on that one, drove the leg through the football, and make it 2 of 4 this evening. He might have to kick it again, though.
Well, this one came late after the kick had gone through. So I think they're going to let this one stand, but it's a good boost for his confidence to be able to nail that one after missing that last chip shot.
A 38-yard field goal for Wayne.
And the officials in conference once again, with head official Ross Perrier right there giving the options to Las Vegas of what's going to occur.
He's in his 3rd year in the CFL. Place kicker from the University of Utah. Grew up in Vancouver.
A lot of Vancouver boys in the game tonight.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto number 68.
Mike Jovanovich, offensive guard out of Boston College, being flagged for the unnecessary roughness after the kick. The kick counts. It was after the kick, and they're going to get it here. They're going to get the ball at the 50-yard line. They chose to take the ball at the 35 with the 15-yard penalty tacked onto that. They will get their first offensive play at the 50-yard line. Great field position, but they're trailing by a huge amount, 36-20.
Remember, that is the situation in the CFL. You have the option. You can take the kick or you can place it on the 35. So they start from the 50. Williams, 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point converts, but they got to have a few less sacks. Kevin Carroll again in on the tackle on Lenny Williams. The 8th sack of the evening. Turnabout is fair play. Ron Meyer's team 1 week ago had 10 sacks in their football game.
Well, the Argos defense is very close, and the big cat Carroll is feasting here in the 4th quarter on Posse quarterback.
You haven't told me tonight what you think of Coach Meyer's do.
Who?
That would be hairdo.
Oh.
Coach Ron Meyer. The slick back look for his return to Vegas. Wembley over the middle will get near the center line. Mark it on about the 54. Ron Meyer returning to Vegas. Now, many of you may think the Running Rebel nickname came from the Running Rebels and their basketball prowess years ago, but that is not the case. The Running Rebels earned their nickname in the football head coaching days at UNLV of one Ron Meyer. His team's got to run a lot, though. We're under 2 minutes.
And it was labeled on a running back that they had at the time, Mike Thomas, who went on to a professional career with the Washington Redskins, who was labeled the Running Rebel, a little scat back that they had on that team down there, who became Ron's first professional player.
And on a 3rd and 8 and a desperation play, Williams incomplete, and it will be Toronto football.
And the ball's going to go over on downs. Once again, a turnover by the Posse. The Argonaut defense will record another one and get credit for another turnover. They stepped up to the plate when they had to here in the second half and have made the big plays. The key to the second half has been the defense for the Argonauts. They've been able to slow down this Vegas offense and make the big plays when they needed them.
And now it's just time to eat the clock, and that is what the men in double blue will try to do. Kevin Smelly, the clock does stop after each play till they set the football here in the final 3 minutes. You know, it's interesting, when we thought about Vegas tonight, Big Daddy, we thought we would see 2 guys perform in a respectful fashion. First and foremost, I was excited about seeing the quarterback, Anthony Calvillo, and I was also excited to see Tamarick Vanover, who left Florida State, signed a big-time contract. Vanover has no excuse for not being involved in this football game as Dwayne Ford breaks a couple of tackles, gets to inside the 35-yard line, probably mark it at the 34. But Vanover has been invisible so far for head coach Ron Meyer. Just 1 reception, 16 yards so far this year.
He's been a mystery to the coaching staff thus far this season. You know, it's a big step when you leave college and you move into the professional ranks and you take a young man who had not really developed as a wide receiver. He was a great kick returner in college, and to learn an offense and be able to read defenses. And in the CFL, it's even much more difficult because you start the game with that extra defensive back, and that's something that Tamarick Vanover has not been able to do yet, is be able to read the secondaries in the CFL, and that's why he came into the game tonight with only 1 reception. He has made 1 reception in the game tonight, so he has 2 on the season, but you expect much more of him with his physical ability to be able to come up with the big games, and hopefully before the season is over, he will get that wake-up call and perform.
Under a minute remaining. Remember, he was the freshman All-American, ACC Rookie of the Year. The give here on 2nd and 9. Stopped well short of the first. Clock stops with 27 ticks remaining.
Shante Peoples on the tackle on Dwayne Ford.
Timeout, Vegas.
The timeout taken by Las Vegas. He got to make some field goals. Somebody going to hit him over the head with some lumber. He stays down on this one. The soccer player good on 2 field goals here late in the football game. And that, you are right, my friend, will make him sleep a little more soundly this evening.
Well, you're a lonely man when you're a kicker. Generally, you spend all day long in practice. You have no one to pal around with. You know, normally those guys stride to a different beat. Now everyone is a Wayne Lamley buddy, but you got to make some if you want to be friends with the rest of your teammates. And he's made his last 2, and he has a smile on his face. He's breathing a sigh of relief.
Well, you make some of those last-second field goals to win, you got a lot of pals all of a sudden. Tell you what, one of the wildest duos of kickers are in Indianapolis. Dean Biasucci and Ron Stark, the punter and the place kicker for the Indianapolis Colts. You talk about palling around by themselves. These guys, I don't think, ever get 3 feet away from each other. Bob Obilovich knows the way kickers are. Ron Meyer knows firsthand how close they are friendship-wise. They practice. They have the same type workout. They do everything together. So kickers are a rare breed, which is my only point.
Wait a minute. You said they work out.
Oh, yeah.
What do they do?
Well, they run, and then they get the balls, and
Run
they
where?
pick up them big orange tees.
I played for many years, and I never saw them out there running around. I mean, they sit over there, and they twirl the ball around and everything, flip it back and forth, and playing hacky sack and all that stuff. And
oh, yeah.
You know, it's like going to a concert or whatever, watching the kickers. They were in their own zone.
Speaking of going to concerts, Ron Meyer was at the Grateful Dead the other night.
That's where the hairdo came from. I mean, he's sitting in front of one of those speakers, and they just peeled it right on back on him.
He's recovered from the dead, that's for sure. Not from the dead, but from the Grateful Dead. 23 seconds remaining.
Tamrick Vanover.
This is his specialty. He gets upended. And that was special for Tony Obilovich, is who it was special for.
Didn't look like there was much effort put into that by Tamrick Vanover on that return just up to the 34-yard line. Not great field position. The Posse would have been better off saving the seconds on the clock and just taking it at the 35. Lynn Williams right here with not much of a chance to pull this one out with the ball at the 34 with only 17 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter.
Williams, right flat, out of bounds. Inbounds, clock still rolling, never did get out of bounds.
Well,
it will
stops.
stop, yeah, and then they'll set it. So either way, in that situation, it's the same deal, though, right, James?
It's the same, but it will start once the ball is placed for play. The official will mark it, and he will start the clock, and you'll see him snapping it in a hurry.
So 2nd and 2 on the 42. 8 ticks, Williams up top to nobody.
That time he just heaved that one. He didn't even look for the receiver. He just cranked it and let it fly. And that's what happens when you have a quarterback that hasn't taken that many reps and he's not in sync with his receivers. He just threw that one out, hoping that the receiver would get to that point, not looking to where the receiver were.
Lenny Williams thrown into the fire tonight. Pressure again. He eludes it, throws over the middle. Wembley gets hit twice. And this football game has come to an end. Tamrick Vanover has something to say, but the most important thing that happened tonight is that man has become the 6th coach in CFL history to win his 100th career football game. Congratulations to Bob Obilovich. Our final, 39-20.
And with that, David Allen is the CFL's all-time leading passer.
The Cyclist kick is up. It's good.
What a catch! Eddie Brown! Touchdown, Edmonton! And Mike Pringle, he's the all-time leading CFL rushing leader.
Tucker. He got it.